This is Grand Harbor, Malta, and today it's a popular tourist resort, but in the Second World War it was the most important harbor on the Eastern Mediterranean. And it was so important that the Germans had to control it or they would lose the war in North Africa. And to do that, they employed siege techniques, starve out the population, and to bomb them into submission. Malta became the most bombed place on Earth. We've come back to Malta to tell the story of the Great Siege, one of the most important battles of the Second World War. We want to look into the people who are here, the civilians, the gunners, the Navy and the Merchant Navy, and of course the legendary fighter pilots who won the Siege of Malta. This is Republic Street in Valletta, and it's the most popular tourist destination. The tourists come to Malta for a lot of reasons. One is to buy stuff from the shops, the great tourist trinkets. The other is for the sun and to party. But Malta also has an incredible history that goes back over 6,000 years. In fact, there are ruins from 3600 BC. This is a ruin from a more modern time. This is not a Roman ruin. This is what's left of the Valletta Opera House. It was carpet bombed by the Germans in April 1942, and much of Malta was like this. This was a beautiful building. Here you can see what's left of one of the columns from the Grand Opera House. You can see where the bombs or shrapnel, really fragments from the bomb, would have taken off a piece of it. And this is really a symbol of what happened to Malta during the Second World War. The most severe raids took place in 1942, but the first one came over with the Italians on June 11th, 1940.
In the late spring of 1940, the tiny island of Malta is a quiet British outpost in the middle of the Mediterranean, far from the war raging in Western Europe. With the entry of Italy and its colonies into the conflict on June 10th, Malta becomes a principal target for the Italian Air Force. The island now lies at the heart of a vast Axis empire. To the south, some 250,000 Italian and colonial troops are within striking distance of the oil fields of the Middle East, oil that could fuel the Axis war machine for years to come. Seeing Malta as a threat against their Mediterranean supply lines, Italy unleashes its formidable air force in a bombing campaign against the island. With only 4,000 troops and no fighter aircraft to speak of, Malta is all but written off by Allied command. Now the island's last remaining hope lies with a small force of anti-aircraft gunners.
I'm with Major Maurice Ejus of the Royal Malta Artillery, and this is one of his gun emplacements during the Great Battle for Malta. So I want you to explain to me how you laid out your battery.
Yes, well, we had a command post over there.
Right.
And 4 guns, starting from number 1 on the left, number 2 gun, number 3 gun, and number 4 gun.
Here, this is where the gun would have been.
That's right, yes. It used to be stuck to the ground by means of nuts and bolts. It was a 3.7-inch heavy attack gun. The shell was 28 pounds, 28.5 pounds. And the cartridge was about that high.
Your objective was to shoot down and harass.
That's right. They used to come at 23,000, 25,000 feet and never change direction, never change height, and never change speed. As soon as you see a sparkle in the sky, and you say, it's plane! when they get too close and they start a deeper dive, then you can't fire anymore. And the operations room used to order barrage 6,000 feet. Each gun position is given an area in the sky to shoot at.
This strategy, known as the box barrage, forces attacking bombers to ascend to higher altitudes over the intended target, hindering their ability to bomb accurately. As planes approach, anti-aircraft units unleash sustained barrages at predetermined angles, creating a box of withering fire that will blast any aircraft attempting to fly through from the sky.
And one plane is shot down. Then you get another half a minute or so, and a second plane comes. And occasionally, you know, all 5 were shot down. At the early months, it was the gunners who actually saved Malta.
The defenders managed to hold out through the midsummer of 1940. Hoping to capitalize on their success, the Allies send 24 Hurricane fighters to Malta, along with experienced pilots from all over the Commonwealth, who quickly chase the Italian bombers from the island's skies. It's the first of 2 devastating setbacks for Italy in the latter half of 1940. In December, the Italian 10th Army is defeated in Egypt by a much smaller British force. And by the end of the year, the Axis is in real danger of losing its foothold in Africa. The Allies are on the offensive at last. But for Malta, this new optimism will be short-lived.
After the initial attacks by the Italians in June 1940, things went pretty quiet in Malta. A lot of the people returned to their homes, and war didn't seem to be such a bad thing after all. But in North Africa, things were changing. The Italians were failing miserably against the British, and now the Germans were to step in. So once again, Malta was going to be a target, this time the German Luftwaffe.
January 1941, a small British-led force on the tiny Mediterranean island of Malta is held out against 6 months of attacks by Italian bombers. With Malta's skies clear, the Allies begin using the island as a base to attack Axis supply shipping bound for North Africa. Fearing a total loss of Axis holdings in North Africa, the Germans dispatched General Erwin Rommel to regain control of the situation. But if Rommel is to defeat the Allies in the desert, Axis supply routes across the Mediterranean must remain open. In January, the Axis resumes its bombing of Malta, this time under German command. Their mission is to bring Malta to its knees. Among the civilians seeking shelter from the bombardment is Joseph Attard.
I'll have to go down slowly.
Yeah, go down slow?
Because I'm not steady on my legs.
So,
Yeah.
tell me how things changed in January 1941.
Well, a good amount of the bombs dropped on this place here. That was blown down to the ground. All this building. We had 40 people blocked down there, trapped, because there is the crypt down there, and it was used as a shelter. I came here, and I went to the church, and from there was the beginning of the rubble. But I couldn't get on to them. For a couple of days, we could hear the moaning. There were some of them who were still alive. And tears come into my eyes. I was so close to them, and yet so far. We found a baby, which was still alive. I pulled it out together with the others, and That was the only person we saved from there. The others were all dead. Those are the names of the people who were trapped and killed here. I consider names now. But most of them I know personally, those people. Now, one I know, for example, let me say her name. Cettina. Now, Cettina was a young girl of my own age. She had very good looks. Who was carrying the baby I saved. It was not my baby. Yes. Cetta. Well, I remember Cetta.